Student Contest. So as I was saying, good morning or good evening or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. I think we have people from Lebanon. I see people from China, from Portugal, and of course from Finland as well. Because as you can see, next year's ASC is going to be in Helsinki, Finland. So welcome, and today we'll have the first session of our Teachers' Days. So for you, the teachers, to learn more about next year's student contest task, and the more general information about the new host city, which is Helsinki, and the contest generally speaking. So just a few reminder on the collaboration rules to make sure that everything goes smoothly. Please mute your microphone. We will have Q&A sessions where you can raise your hand or unmute yourself or even ask questions directly in the chat. But to make sure that everybody can hear the presentation without background noise, please mute your microphone. So we will share some videos with you. I will share my screen, and every time we have a video, we will also share the link directly in the chat, because I know that sometimes the connection issues make it so that when we as presenters share videos, it can be a little lagging on your side. So you will have the choice to either watch my screen or launch the video on your side. We will have, as I was saying, Q&A sessions where you can raise your hand or unmute yourself to ask your questions. We will use a link to an app called SparkUp, but I will come back to this later. But very briefly, it's very simple. You will have either a QR code or a link to access SparkUp. And on SparkUp, you will be able to log in your questions or your feedback on the contest task, which Timo will present to you a little bit later on. But don't worry, I will come back on SparkUp. It's very easy to use, and everything will be in English so that we can make sure that everyone understands. Do you have any questions so far? Or is everyone ready to discover the 2024 Architecture Student Contest?
We already.
Thank you.
We are.
So a brief presentation of the team. So I'm Anne-Gabrielle, and it's very nice to meet everyone. I'm with Timo and Claudia as well. You also have in the room Ella and Leah, who are working on the 2023 edition of the Architecture Student Contest. But Ella is giving me the baby.
Yes, I give it to you.
And the 2024 ASC from the Saint-Gobain marketing team is going to be Timo, Claudia, and I. And we also have our colleagues from Finland, Victor, Mikael, Anne, and Marianne. Guys, do you want to do maybe a quick roundtable to say hi to everyone? Timo, I start with you.
Yes, hello. It's going to be my first architecture student contest working with all of you and giving more information. So happy to collaborate. Don't hesitate to ask questions. I work with Anne-Gabrielle and the central team on the topics related to sustainability. I'm glad to join the boat.
And Claudia, do you want to say hi?
Yes. Hello. Yes, I'm.
Hello. I have the sound. Don't worry.
Yes, I'm very happy to work on the Architecture Student Contest 2024, and I hope I will assist you and help you out in many ways. And I really enjoy to join this team.
Thank you. And I think from Finland, Anne and Marianne, you are connected. Do you want to say a quick hello?
Yes. So hello, I'm Anne Kaiser. I'm the Sustainability Manager of Saint-Gobain, Finland. And beyond that, so I have been working a bit with this Architect Student Competition 2024 too. But anyway, we had a great plot, but you will see it later. So thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's Marianne Heinonkoski from Finland as well, working as a marketing manager for Saint-Gobain, Finland. And great to be here. And on behalf of Victor, I have to say that he had a double booking. He's in some kind of a low carbon project with the Swedes. So unfortunately, he can't join us, at least at the beginning of this meeting. But I guess we have
Thank you.
Mika somewhere
Yes.
online,
Yes.
maybe.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Don't worry, I'm not driving. I'm sitting in the parking area. But nice to see you all. My name is Mika Nyholm. I'm the sales manager for specification sales for Dupro Gisover Weber in Finland. And for this contest, next year will be my third year involved. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you next year. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So you will have the opportunity to discover the whole team throughout the preparation of the architecture student contest. So what is the architecture student contest? Because I'm guessing that some of you are already familiar with it, but for some of you, it might be your first time participating in our Teachers' Day and the first time hearing about the architecture student contest. So I will start with a short video showing a recap of the ASC in Warsaw, I believe. And I will share my screen with you. Leah, can you put the link in the chat? So if you cannot see my screen or if the video is lagging, you can also click on the link that Leah is putting on the chat.
Just amazing, indescribable. What shock situation right now is, as you see, simply incredible.
We feel very good. It's a very big surprise for us.
So it was a taste of the architecture student contest, but to give you more details about it, so as you understood, it's an international competition. It's a yearly competition that started in 2004 in Serbia. So we are nearly at the 20th anniversary of the competition. It's open to your students, so students of architecture, design, and also construction engineering. It's based on our vision at Saint-Gobain of sustainable buildings, and it's a real architecture task selected by Saint-Gobain. But it's not only a task that is selected by us, but also by our partners. So it gives your students a real opportunity to have a professional and comprehensive contest to try their skills and to showcase what they can do with your help as teachers. They have not only, as I was saying, us at Saint-Gobain, but they also have our partners. So in 2024, it's going to be the University of Helsinki and the City of Helsinki. They have all those stakeholders in front of them, and we encourage them to promote sustainable construction and to have really all those stakeholders in front of them to have a very professional task at hand. So this year in Lisbon, you saw Vasco with his coffee at the beginning of the call. So we are working with him and his team for the architecture student contest for 2023. We have 1,600 participants from 220 universities and 30 countries who are competing for 5 awards. So as you saw in the recap video, you have the first prize, the second prize, and the third prize, but you also have 2 special prizes. You have the students prize, because the students are also involved in selecting their favorite projects, and you also have the jury coup de cœur prize, so it's a special prize from the jury for a special project that didn't get first, second, or third place. So today, as a Teachers' Day, who is here? We had 170 teachers registered for a Teachers' Day from 20 countries and 75 universities. This session is going to be recorded as well. So if you, as Saint-Gobain representative, have teachers who could not attend the session, we will make the recording available to you. Do you have any questions so far on the ASC, or any questions so far on the general information presented? No, I don't think so. Okay, so everything is clear so far. Very good. So our objectives today for the first day of the Teachers' Day is to allow you, the teachers, to get a good understanding of the contest task and an overview of the host city, which is Helsinki for 2024. And we also want to give you the opportunity to contribute to the achievement of the contest task. So how we're going to do this is today, on the first session, we will present you Helsinki, the city, and the contest site. So Anne Kaiser, who introduced herself from Saint-Gobain, Finland, will talk about the city of Helsinki in Finland, generally speaking. Then we have Antti Vakema, the head of Northern Unit Detailed Planning from the city of Helsinki, who will present the contest site, which is called Viki. And then we have Henrik Ahola, an architect from Viki campus from the University of Helsinki, who will present the University of Helsinki. We will, of course, take your first questions after the presentation, and then Timo will present you the contest task in images. We have videos and different materials, and the contest task description. And as I was saying, but I'll come back to it later, we have the SparkUp app, where you will be able to ask your question. And because we know that it might be late or very early for some of you, and it's a lot of information to process, after this meeting, we are going to send you the materials that we are presenting today, and you will have until tomorrow, 10 a.m., to access our SparkUp, to keep asking your questions after having the time to review again the material that we presented. And tomorrow, the second day of our Teachers' Day, so same time, 2 p.m. French time, we'll have a discussion on the contest task. We will have the opportunity to answer the questions that you asked on our SparkUp and to get your feedback as well. So if there is no question, without further ado, I'm giving you the floor, Anne, for the presentation of Helsinki and then the contest fact.
Okay, thank you, Anne-Gabriel. And we are sharing the presentation with Antti. So once I finish in the picture with the cows, so then I will help Antti to go further with the presentation. So, but first I share my screen with you. So here, you should see it now. So, is it okay?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, and very nice to have this honor to present to Helsinki. I'm really proud. So really living the Helsinki in full, but anyway, and the contest site is actually pretty close to my own home. I was just driving by half an hour ago approximately. But anyway, so I will share some insights of Helsinki, and there are many figures and whatever, but I'm not going through them all, but they are interesting insights. But like you see, so Finland is actually like an island, and Helsinki is somehow hidden everywhere. So this means that once we travel, we have to take the plane or the ferry or something. So it's not that we are a bit hidden, but it's a beautiful city on the northern shore of the Baltic Sea. And like about the Helsinki city, so you see the area, it's 719 square kilometers, but there's a lot of sea area as well, as we are really having the shoreline of 131 kilometers. We have 327 islands in Helsinki city only. And in the picture, you see really the Helsinki city, the metropolitan area, and the Helsinki region. And as about the population density, so the 3,034 people per square meter in Helsinki, there are only 4 other cities in Finland that exceeds the 1,000 people per square meter. In Lapland, it's something like 2 point something. So it's a huge difference there. And here you see that I would say that the Helsinki city center, it's really, really district and small actually, but the city widens a lot to different districts. And I can tell that I'm talking to you from somewhere here. Where is the arrow now? So, but it's a big city with a lot of sea around and very many forests around as well. But you see what was the data for 2021. So we had the highest about 30 degrees Celsius and the lowest minus 21 degrees Celsius. I remember that there were hotter summers like last summer. And whatever, just to give a hint about then how the climate warming, so it progresses in Finland faster than in average globally. So we have actually already this 2.3 degrees Celsius increase here, and so that will change definitely the Helsinki as well too. So we are actually lacking the winters we used to have. So, and Helsinki city population, this is a data from the beginning of this year, end of last year. So 658,000 plus 457 people. And you see that Helsinki is the population is pretty young. As if you should compare the diagram to the rest of Finland, so you would have the widest part much higher up, and the largest group of Helsinki people is really between 30 to 34 years old. And women are in major part of the population of Helsinki, 52.4, and men are 47.6. So, and population forecast. So if you see the figure here, so there are people moving still in Helsinki, and like we call this urbanization, and we have these huge bigger cities in Finland. So it was in 2027 we are expected to access the 700,000 people in Helsinki, and let's see what will happen. And this was like there's an old forecast and there's a new forecast that was updated last year. Of course, Corona made some impact here that people were moving out too, but now they are actually coming back to Helsinki. And here you see how the households in Helsinki, that there are many singles living in Helsinki, actually almost 50%, like one person households, and then 4 people or more, so it's 10%. And it's pretty funny to see this, but we have like the very compact city center, and we have a lot of like studio apartments, and the city has been building also, and the grinders has been building a smaller apartments for this need, but of course we need also like the family housing here. And you see how the owning and renting of the own home, apartment building, what is it? So in Finland it's pretty typical also to own the own house, even in Helsinki. Even if I tell my opinion, so actually it gets more and more difficult for young people to buy their own house in Helsinki. And here you see that how are the dwellings divided. So from 1 to 2 rooms to 5 to more rooms. So there's a big difference. And the majority of the housing stock is built here between 60 and like beginning of 60 to beginning of the 80s. And then I don't know how this is going now, because actually the market is very difficult for construction everywhere. So now we have also the housing starts dropping drastically in Finland. So these coming years will be having a bit different figures here, but let's hope the best. And 2022, how many dwellings? 6,000 plus. And housing density of floor area per person. So it's actually, there must be some mistake here, sorry. So 20.43 square meters, I guess. And as I mentioned, the 1 person households. And this is like what I mentioned in the last slide about this housing start. So now you see here the 2022 going down, and the going down is still continuing. Now, how? The Finland, we are obviously pretty happy people. That's the index is telling that we are the most happy people in the world. So I still keep smiling. But anyway, the well-being and quality of the life. So that's something that Finnish people really appreciate. And Finland is a very peaceful and safe country, and Helsinki is a very nice and peaceful and safe city. And like almost 90% find the quality of their life good or very good. And actually people are exercising also a lot. And about the number of homeless citizens, I just read an article that in the beginning of 80s in Helsinki there were over 13,000 homeless people. So there's a great work that has been done over the last decades. And actually, if you see these low income households, so the 14, it's actually a very small number. So Helsinki city is a pretty wealthy area compared to other Finland. So, and what I like here, so the 76% of people feel safe in their neighborhood on weekend evenings. And what is particular, many times told that like when foreign families come to Helsinki, so the kids go to school by themselves. My kids take metro every morning there and back and to the hobbies, and they have been doing this since second grade. So it's something remarkable in this city. And about the culture and laser, so our new Oodi library, which is actually a very, very nice architectural monument in the city center. So it has got prizes, and it's a very, very nice place. And it's not the concept of the traditional library anymore. You can borrow and rent anything, not only books. There are common workspaces. You can go there to do 3D printing. You can organize your own workshops and so, but that's something that I'm very proud of, Helsinki. And we have actually 17 swimming halls, including the outdoor swimming pools and sea pools in Finland. And what is important for us is always to have many skating rinks, as we are now in the ice hockey season. So somewhere are the good players also coming. They train in the Helsinki city indoor ice skating rinks. And even if we are northern country, so we have 33 beaches in Helsinki, and there's actually a lot of opportunities for jogging and for skating and for skiing, Nordic skiing. From my home, when there's a winter, so it takes 20 minutes to catch the first Nordic skiing track. So it's a city is a compact and very, very good for all the leisure and outdoor activities. And about the economies, so this is the figure from this year beginning. So number of jobs, so almost 400,000 jobs there, employment rate 74.9. And of the jobs in Helsinki, 7.7% of the jobs are actually research and development jobs. And there are really many entrepreneurs and companies in Helsinki area, like over 26,000 compared to the 61,000 in the whole Helsinki region. So it's also of course, capital and the heart of the economy. And this tourism, that's a bit difficult now to say because there was the COVID-19 pandemic. So these figures, so you see there the airport in 2021, 4 million passengers. It was 12.9 in 2022. And of course, now we have this geopolitical situation like the Finnair, who used to connect Helsinki with Asia and many other cities. So their strategy has now changed, and we understand for obvious reasons what happened. And seeing for 2021, so I'm happy to see French people there as a fifth position who were visiting Helsinki in the overnight stays. So, but if you come, then we will see next here in Helsinki, so I can recommend you the Linnanmäki Amusement Park or the Suomenlinna or the zoo or anything, and the Temppeli Aukio Church. That's actually a church that has been built into the rock, and it's very beautiful and very, very tourist hit place in Helsinki. And coming back to this tourism, so we had 67 hotels with over 20,000 bed places in 21. In 2022, there were 30 new hotels with more than 7,000 bed places in planning or construction phase in Helsinki. I'm very curious to see how these figures turns out to be realized. But there are very nice boutique hotels that are now opened. So Helsinki, what I think that Finnish people are very practical and we like to have the very functional view on everything. So Helsinki is the most functional city in the world. I have been living in many places, and not to say nothing bad about the beautiful places around the world, but Finland is Helsinki is very easy to move, and it's really designed for the public transportation, and you can go even to very picking with the local bus. And so, but it's really the size of a human of city. And here about the transport and how is it split in Helsinki. So 46% of people move by walking and 24 are using public transport. And there we have bus, metro, tram and train. And 21% are using the passenger car. And I don't know what is now the division. So there you can see some figures for the passenger cars. The electric vehicle number is obviously rising a lot. And I guess also the cycling is rising. So there have been like big roads for cycling only built in the Helsinki city. And we have actually this Helsinki city bike. There are over 4,600 city bikes and 460 bike stations where you can just borrow and take the bike and go and leave the bike wherever. And this picture actually it's from last winter. So when there was a big snowfall, people started to go to work by Nordic skiing. So, but actually I have to tell that that's illegal. You can get a ticket of 20 euros if you are skiing in the city center on the snowy roads. And whatever we are having our own seasons. I tell in Finland we have 4 seasons, but in Helsinki we can have 365 seasons. There's every day can be different, even then that's in good and in bad. So we have had some snowfalls in June, but also some 35 degrees heat in June. So anything can fit here. And when we are so close to sea, of course, you feel this a lot. And nearly 34% of Helsinki land area consists of the green space managed by the city. And here you see, like we call them like a green fingers. And this green part here, actually, it's the sea park. So it's a sea area around Helsinki. And I found also a very nice app where what you can see and get. So it's about the most nice 10 nature sites in Helsinki near you. And there's a lot of maps and guides and things how to enjoy the greenness and the green space in Helsinki. And this is what I like too. So actually we are having, of course, some dust problems in the spring, but anyway, as you can see, the air quality has been good or satisfactory 94% of the time in 2019. So we are actually breathing obviously maybe the most clean air in the Europe in this Helsinki city. So, but this is actually the air quality where you are right now. I was taking this on Sunday or Saturday just for the curiosity, and it looks pretty green and not that bad. So quickly about the regulation. So we have the very ambitious climate law in Finland, and it entered into force last year, and Finland aims to be carbon neutral in 2035 and carbon negative soon after that. And that's an ambitious objective, and I hope we will get there. And of course, we have this discussion about the carbon sinks and the forests. That's like never ending discussion and how to actually model it 100% correct, but let's hope we find our ways. So, And then what is important that in this net zero carbon neutrality objective, of course, the built environment and buildings, they count a big share. And we had the Parliament approved the new Building Act on 1st of March this year, and the new Building Act will be in force from 1st of January 2025. And just to give you a short overview, so what does it mean? So we will have the climate declaration and material declaration for buildings in Finland, and we have our own methodology that has been developed by the Ministry of Environment. And thank you for Matti Kuittinen sharing these slides with me. Now, so the climate declaration, so we have a carbon footprint, and then we have the carbon handprint. The carbon handprint, it's not calculated into the whole life cycle carbon. It's just announced, but it's there are ways to calculate this too. And we will have the limit values for the new buildings, maybe in the beginning of 2025. And you need to do the declaration for the refurbishment projects too. And the material declaration, so there we are looking for the components of the buildings, materials in the building, and the circularity of the materials. And actually, this material declaration, it will work how to calculate then the whole building LCA at the end of the day. And the scope of the assessment, so we have it pretty wide. In some countries, you have A1 to A3, or A1 to A5. But we have also the replacements and operational energy, and of course the end of life, and the calculation period is 50 years. And we are actually calculating then the carbon footprint, and there will be the limit values for new buildings, but it excludes the structures and foundation and piling when it comes to the limit values. And this climate declaration is connected to the building permit. So you need to show the carbon footprint calculation in connection to the building permit, and then before the building is taken into use. So you have to revalidate the carbon footprint calculations. And this has been a long story. It didn't happen in one day or two, but the ministry has been preparing the roadmaps, and there has been a lot of piloting and testing. And I know that what is the state of the art and state of the mind in Finland. So actually all the operation, all the companies in this built environment, so they are already training very hard to meet this request in the 2025. And just quickly, I told Helsinki is set to be carbon neutral too in 2030. And here you see what has happened already and how we are aiming for the 2030. And of course, built environment buildings. So you see heating and moving, waste, and the electricity consumption, they play a strong role. And what comes to the scope 3 here? So actually the Helsinki city is addressing the construction materials in the scope 3 as one big part. We have also the circular economy and sharing roadmap, and we have the Helsinki circular economy cluster for circular economy, and there are many initiatives, and Helsinki city is very ambitious what comes to the circular economy and the low carbon. So now I will pass this to Antti. So I like those cows so much. They are actually there in the field, so I had to take the picture here. So. But Antti, please.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you for the presentation of our city. And I wish everybody welcome on behalf of the city to this architectural student contest. And we are providing the site in collaboration with the University of Helsinki. And it is situated in Viikki, quite close to the place where this photograph has been taken. It's like the first day of the spring when the cows are let out to the pasture, and it shows this very peculiar side of Viikki, that it's a residential area, and it is a university campus area,
and it's also an agricultural area to some point of view, but to some extent because it's this is a research farm, which Henrik perhaps will tell more about later. But okay, let's start. If you can give me the next slide. There's an overall view, like a helicopter image of part of Viikki, but let's go further. This is one of the key issues in the development in Viikki. For the last 2 decades, Helsinki has been growing mainly on former harbor areas around the inner city of Helsinki. But on the other hand, we are densifying also a lot, and Viikki is a place of densification. And one reason, or the main reason for the densification, is that city of Helsinki and city of Espoo and the state of Finland have built a new Jokeri light rail line through Viikki, and it connects Viikki to the eastern center of Helsinki and also to all the railways and metro lines and also to the city of Espoo in the west. And this will transform this how do I say, the environment and also the connections that we have in Viikki in many ways. And this we have a lot of densification planned along this light rail connection, and Viikki will be one of the major urban development sites along the line. Okay. Now something
Sorry,
happened.
we are now missing the slides.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's wait a moment.
Yeah, and
I tried
while
to
we
reach
are,
there. I don't know what happened. So
Grab it back.
yeah, I have it here. So.
yeah, and while you bring the slide back, I think someone has a question. Andres, right? Did you raise your hand? No.
If I may continue, then we can have the next slide.
Yes, of
Okay.
course.
So what we are doing about or at this time, especially is this is a structural plan for the new development in Viikki, and it's been prepared by my colleagues who will probably join tomorrow, or maybe Johanna Mutanen is already present here today on the line, but it shows the overall situation in Viikki. The gray areas and the blue areas with buildings are present day buildings. The buildings are present day buildings, and approximately in the middle of this picture is the campus, university campus area, and on the upper right hand corner is the Viikki residential area, which is also called Latokartano. And in the blue line is the new light rail connection, and the red circle marks the place of the site for this next year's competition. And so it will be a part. There are some existing buildings, but it also will connect to this new urban development which is taking place in Viikki, when we are connecting the existing residential areas to the university campus and to the line, this light rail line, by more urban city structure. And to the south of the railway line are situated the research fields around this University of Helsinki research farm. Okay, let's have the next slide. Okay, this is a model image. We are in such a phase of the planning process that we have prepared this structural plan. So it is it's not legally binding, but it will. It's like a roadmap for the detailed plans to come, and it is one, or it shows us the whole of Viki and what we are trying to achieve. But this model is from quite early stages. It's not going to look exactly like this, but the white buildings mark the new development in this area which we are now planning. And the yellow ellipse marks the site of the competition. In this build, there are new buildings like visioned in that area. We are not going to show this to the students because we don't want to, we don't want to influence too much on what they might be thinking and designing. So this is like, because this is from our visualizations of this structural plan and not the competition material as itself. And another view, perhaps in the next slide. This is from the east. It's from the direction where Anne lives and where actually I live too. And you can see the fields around this Viki area, and which makes this a very peculiar and special part in Helsinki. We have very little farmland left in the city, but because of the university, this is a unique place. And it also is connected to a bird life habitat, which is a Natura 2000 bird life habitat in this building to the left. And so there's all, in many ways, this is a special place because of the amount of green and because of the functions, the university, the residential area, the business areas, which will be developed also close to the university campus. And maybe the next one as well, please. Okay, so this gives a kind of an overall view of the urban green that we have in Viki and around Viki. So there are forests, there are fields, there are marshlands, and it's a very nice place to live and to study and to work. And the site is situated in a place where it's surrounded by all of these elements. There's the natural habitat, there's the farm, there's the campus, and there are apartments and residential buildings. And so in that sense, it's a quite peculiar and nice place that we have picked for you. Is this my last slide?
I guess so.
Okay.
I guess. Okay.
So
But
thank you, and we'll go further.
Yeah. Thank you, Antti. I just have to add something here, like that about the greenness and the nature and the sea here. So this is actually the motorway heading to Lahti. And here we have the ring road number 1. So it's a very, very peculiar area in the nice corner of the transportation too, but it will, so, but thank you, Antti. So I stop sharing.
So thank you so much. I think, and is Henry going to present about the university? Or
Yes.
Yes, I try to get my presentation. You have a question on the. You have a hand up from
Yes,
Vladimir.
I can see. Vladimir, you have a question that you want to ask?
No, I would like to apologize. I have been mistaken. I have no question yet.
No
We're
problem.
so excited about this nice city. So
Is my present there? Can you see the
Yes, we can see it.
slide? This picture Anne picked to the presentation. So I rest my case. It's Anne. But good afternoon to everybody, or whatever time it is. But here it is, afternoon in Viikki, where I am at the moment. My name is Henrik Ahola, and I work as a campus architect for the Viikki campus. I'm responsible for the university facilities in the area, along with the maintenance team. And we are very pleased to have this competition here in Viikki. So welcome to everybody. I have a small presentation about university in general and some details about Viikki campus as well. And as said before, even though we're located in the middle of a European capital, the campus is pretty much in the countryside. Let's see, and it turned to another one. Yes. We have about 6,000 students and 1,900 employees here in the campus. And the university has operated here almost 80 years. So some kind of tradition as well. Viikki campus is an international hub of life sciences. We have 4 faculties, biological and environmental sciences, veterinary medicine, pharmacy, and the Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry. Bio and environmental sciences is doing world-class research and education in life sciences in every scale, from molecular level to ecosystems as a whole. Veterinary medicine, I guess I don't need to explain. Our office, or the place I'm right now, is in the same building as the animal hospital. So it's common to see horses, cows, cats and dogs, etc. during a typical day at the office. A while ago, we had a tiger here from Helsinki Zoo. Then we have Faculty of Pharmacy. It's doing international as well, international top-level pharmaceutical research and education in the campus. And Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry. They're doing research and education for sustainable future. The Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry has extensive research areas on the campus, including research farm and the research fields. So it's a pretty visible actor in the landscape or cityscape or whatever, but you can see the faculty here. Other units and organizations at the campus, or most of the organizations are listed here. It's maybe easier to view the whole with the map. The faculties are marked on the map with their own colors. I would say that the university faculties are currently scattered around the campus. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. For cooperation, the campus could be more compact. And you can see the competition area on the map as well. Next to the competition area, there's a animal hospital and Viikki research farm. I can show you. At the moment I'm here, so I can see from the window the competition area, which is here. I would say it's a quite nice spot. The site, the competition site, it's right next to the campus, but still forming its own entity at the edge of the fields. There is, I think, good possibilities to develop quite nice area there. Let's see how it works. No, I have this border, I take it off. Future development scenario for university buildings could be something like this. We should somehow clarify the connection between the university buildings and maybe to strengthen business cooperation and also attract new companies to the area. The fields in the middle of the campus are important as well. There have been fields in this spot since Middle Ages, and it's a characteristic thing here, and as well as an important research area for the university. Maybe the most important future development project for us, maybe the new main building where it said Science Hub. It's still a question mark, but if built, that would connect the scattered facilities and would serve as a landmark. But let's see. So this kind of development might be going around here, but it's hard to see what will happen in the future. But that's a brief summary. The scientific community here in Viikki is doing doubtlessly pioneering teaching and research in the field of sustainable development. But this is, at the moment, it's not visible on the campus as a physical environment. But it should be. That's like one of the things that should be seen here. The common goal of the city of Helsinki and the university is to make Viikki the most sustainable campus in the world, whatever it means. I think you could figure it out what it could mean. I think this architecture competition is a very good opportunity to make sustainable solutions visible. And if, as a result of the competition, we could get ideas that support this vision, we would be very satisfied. University has quite ambitious carbon neutral roadmap that should be noted. We're a quite big organization and our carbon footprint is also quite big. This is quite realistic overview of the matter. And as known, the carbon footprint of building is significant. I don't have the absolute knowledge about the matter, but I have the impression that worldwide the carbon footprint of building is around 40% of the total, including construction and maintenance during the life cycle. So there's a lot to do in this. These are the measures that need to be taken. They have been identified here. And as you can see in this picture, the actual reduction is thought of by reducing the carbon footprint of the facilities, or let's say buildings mainly, and by compensating. And this is how the footprint is divided. The facilities footprint is divided. In maintenance, it's mainly heating, cooling, and electricity. And even though we have a quite big carbon footprint, the University of Helsinki is a climate research pioneer and one of the world's leading research institutions in the field. And I would say that one of the key places on the planet of research and to prevent global warming is Viki campus. So let's try to be optimistic. And here we have some key figures of Helsinki University. Viki campus is one of the 4 campuses of Helsinki University. But in total, we have more than 30,000 students and 8,000 employees. And we're among the top 0.5% of the world's research universities, which is pretty good, I guess. But that's about it. On behalf of the University of Helsinki, I welcome you to come up with fresh ideas for developing Viki. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to all 3 of you, Anne, Antti, and Henrik. If you have any question at this point on any of the topics that Anne, Antti, and Henrik just touched about, please feel free to raise your hand or to unmute yourself. We can have a Q&A session right now if you have questions on the presentation that we just shared.
We share with all the teachers, right? The presentation.
Yes, we will share the presentation with all of you. We'll send them to you after this Teams meeting, but so that you can go over it. And if you have questions that come to you after the meetings, when you have gone through the material again, you will be able to ask your questions as well. I don't seem to see any questions so far. We can come back to questions later on, because now we're going to talk about the contest task. So I don't have any drum rolls, but let's do the drum rolls ourselves. So the contest task, before we talk about the contest task, here I'm sharing with you a short tutorial on how to connect to SparkUp. So as I was saying, SparkUp is very easy to access. It's an online platform where you will be able to put your questions on the contest task, because it's a lot of information, as I was saying, to register and to go over. We know that if you might have some questions that come to you after this meeting, when you read through the contest task again, when you read through the presentation again. So we are setting up this SparkUp session until tomorrow, 10 a.m. French time, after which the session will be closed and we will go through your question and answer them live in tomorrow's Teachers' Day. So if you can, please take out your smartphone, because it's easier for you if you have your smartphone. You will be able to watch the Teams meetings on your computer and go to SparkUp on your smartphone. You just have to scan the QR code and it will take you to the session. If you don't want to scan, or you don't have the app to scan the QR code, you can go to the link which Leah is putting on the chat. So it's bc.sparkup.live. And if you go on that link, you will need to enter the code, which is on the screen. here. So either you scan the QR code or you follow the link on the chat. If you follow the link on the chat, you will have to enter the code YTCST, which is on the screen, and then it will take you to our session. Once you are on the session, it's very easy. You will have, an automated nickname that will be generated. Please click on edit to put your real first name, your real last name, and your real email. I know the email is not mandatory, but please, if you can put your email, it's easier for us then to make sure that we have all the right contacts of everyone who took part in our meeting. So just click edit, put your first name, your last name, your email, and you will be in the session. And then you just have to click, on the little plus, and you can write your comments as we are presenting the contest task, because we will show you the video. Timo will go over the contest task. So as we go with the flow, you will be able to put your question in, and we will be able to collect them and have a look at them more deeply to be able to answer you tomorrow. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to connect to SparkUp. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us on the chat or to unmute yourself. And if you cannot access SparkUp, you can send us a comment on the chat, or you can also ask your question on the chat in the Teams directly. But it should be super easy, either with the QR code or with the link. So I'll give you a few minutes.
Yes, do let us know if you have any issues. And Gabriel mentioned the SparkUp app helps us to consolidate all the questions. And if not, don't hesitate to share them on the chat. Everyone okay connecting with via SparkUp?
Yes.
Yes, I see some thumbs in the videos. Good. Few more seconds just to make sure everybody's on.
Yes.
Before we continue.
And so the convenience thing, as I was saying, is as we will be presenting the contest task and showing you the video, you can directly write your question as they come to you, and we will have them registered. Is everybody connected? Can we move on to the videos, or do you still need a few seconds? Give us a thumbs up if everyone is okay.
At least no thumbs down.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I will start with the video of the contest task. So because we want you to really have the opportunity of see it with us and write your question if you have any questions after seeing the video, I will launch the video. Leah will put the link on our Teams as well, because as I was saying, sometimes it's easier depending on your internet connection, and we will watch the whole video. So it's 17 minutes, and you will have a really detailed presentation about the contest task.
You don't have sound.
Oh, sorry, maybe I didn't share the sound. So let me share again with the sound. Thank you. Okay, now it should be okay.
This video aims to share with you elements of context and description for the location of the task for the 2024 edition of the Architecture Student Contest by Saint-Gobain. As you know, the task will take place in Finland, in its capital city Helsinki. We want to give as best as possible an overview of Helsinki for those who have not visited yet this beautiful city. Thanks to drone views, we want you to visualize the city and the area of the contest task, its life and atmosphere. Helsinki is located on the northern shore of the Gulf of Finland. Approaching Helsinki from the south, you first find an impressive UNESCO-listed cultural heritage, the Suomenlinna Sea Fortress. Construction of Suomenlinna Fortress started in 1748 under Swedish governance over Finland. After centuries of foreign government, Finland gained independence on December 6 in 1917. Finland became a member of European Union in 1995. Helsinki was one of the 9 European cities of culture for the year 2000. Helsinki was the world design capital in 2012. An interesting fact about Finland is that the country ranks as number 1 in the World Happiest Countries Index for 6 years in a row, also in 2023. Helsinki was founded on June 12 in 1550 by King Gustav I on the mouth of River Vantaa area, also called as Vanhan kaupungin koski. Later, due to floodings, the city was moved further to south to Vironiemi headlands, today known as Kruununhaka district in the city center. Later on, Turku took place of the capital city for a certain period. Today, Helsinki has a population of 665,000 inhabitants, and with neighboring cities, Espoo, Vantaa, and Sipoo, the population of the capital region rises up to 1.6 million inhabitants. Helsinki is a modern, green, and accessible city by the sea. The city has world-famous Jugendstil districts like Eira and Kaartinkaupunki. There are beautiful examples of other styles like functionalism, like Helsinki Olympic Stadium, which was completed in 1938 and finally hosted Helsinki Summer Olympic Games in 1952. The actual city center is pretty compressed by main streets and restricted by sea bays in the north. In this area we have National Opera, National Museum, Museum of Contemporary Art, Central Library Oodi, Turley Bay Recreational Area, and main railway station with view to Kamppi Commercial Center and actual commercial heart of the city. Oodi Library was awarded as Best Public New Library of the Year in 2019. The Market Square and Senate Square originate to the beginning of 18th century when Helsinki city center was rebuilt in connection to moving capital back from Turku in 1812. In this connection, Alexander I of Russia and Grand Duke of Finland decided to fund and build 2 churches by 15% salt import tax. Now Helsinki Cathedral and Uspensky Cathedral frame the city silhouette, latter framing also new developments like Allas Sea Pool in Katajanokka district. Helsinki's goal is to be carbon neutral in 2030. Over 10 kilometers long tram, cycle and pedestrian path ground bridges will connect Central Railway Station to Kruunuvuorenranta in Laajasalo. Passenger travel is planned to start in the beginning of 2027. Meanwhile, something new is built, some activities end, like Hanasaari coal power plant, which was closed permanently on 1st of April this year. Hanasaari area will be part of wider urban development area connecting with Kalasatama, where homes will be built for about 30,000 residents and over 10,000 jobs are to be created. Green areas currently cover about 40% of Helsinki city's land area, offering residents recreation, exercise opportunities, interesting natural sites, and pleasant places to rest. Grand Pass pedestrian bridge connects urban city to recreational islands like Korkeasaari, hosting over 100 animal species in its zoo and wildlife hospital. Helsinki has 60 nature conservation areas with a total area of 955 hectares. The largest nature reserve is the Viikin Vanhankaupunginlahti area, 306 hectares, and it is located less than 700 meters away from the contest site. Viikki Vanhankaupunginlahti is an important natural conservation area and one of Finland's 96 internationally important bird areas and part of the Natura 2000 network. Lammassaari being the most important bird sanctuary with its accessible duck ports for every nature lover. To introduce this area, we interviewed Antti Varkemaa from the city of Helsinki.
My name is Antti Varkemaa. Central Viikki, where we are now, is a very important development area for the city of Helsinki. We have now built here a new light rail system which connects eastern Helsinki to the city of Espoo in the west. And along that light rail, we are going to build new housing for several thousand new inhabitants, maybe 5,000. And we are also going to develop this area together with the other landowners, the university and the state of Finland, so that we will have a vibrant living urban area here.
Viikki is a district of 12,000 inhabitants, located about 8 kilometers northeast from the city center. Viikki has a long history, and its name appears in documents dating back to 1543. Viikki campus began to emerge in 1960s when the University of Helsinki moved its natural science teaching to the lands of the Viikki experimental farm. The area was further developed in 1990s with the construction of new university buildings, business premises for businesses born from the local expertise, and residential areas. The Science Park is campus for more than 6,000 students. The Science Park is a center for teaching and researching life sciences, agriculture and forestry, pharmacy and veterinary medicine at the University of Helsinki. In Viikki, there is the first ecologically planned residential district in Finland called Eco-Viikki. The planning of the area has been based on the principles of sustainable, healthy, and adaptable living environment. The same principles will continue to guide the future planning of the area. Despite the construction, Viikki will remain as it is now, a nature paradise open to everyone, where the entire story of the city began. An important development in Viikki area is the Jokeri light rail, which will replace the busiest bus line connecting eastern and western parts of Helsinki region. Also, other south to north light rail called Viima is under planning. Viikki will become important public transportation hub. Jokeri light rail starts passenger traffic in August 2023.
The context of this competition area is quite interesting. We are quite close to the university campus, and also we have the university research farm right beside us. And behind the building where we are shooting this video lie the open fields of the research farm of the university. We will be making a detailed plan for the area of the competition during the next 2 years. So all your ideas are very welcome. Thank you.
The task of the 19th edition of the International Student Competition, organized by Saint-Gobain in close cooperation with the City of Helsinki and Helsinki University, is to develop a residential area for citizens and researchers in the district of Viikki, in a plot called Gardenia, located near the Viikki Science Park, Viikki Research Farm, and Veterinary Teaching School of University of Helsinki. To introduce this area, we interviewed Henrik Ahola from University of Helsinki.
Hello, my name is Henrik Ahola and I work as a campus architect here in Viikki campus. In other words, I'm responsible of the university facilities here in the area. We are very pleased to have this competition here in Viikki. As a general guideline, the university needs up-to-date facilities. The buildings around the competition area and around the research farm are partially protected and they create a quite nice historical environment. I would say that the whole area is best utilized for housing, for temporary housing, for students and researchers, or for permanent housing as a part of the new Viikki district. Perhaps the most interesting task of the competition is to create an urban connection between the university and the new housing area with the nature. On behalf of the university, I welcome you to come up with the new, fresh ideas developing Viikki district. Thank you.
As explained, the task is intended to be developed on a plot with existing buildings and functions that are linked to the University of Helsinki and the nature conservation areas nearby. The task proposes the renovation of one existing building, the demolition of others, old museum and small commercial buildings, with the construction of a new residential building. Circularity and potential reuse of building parts and materials is encouraged. All of this aligned to a development of its connectivity. Therefore, the task is divided in 4 areas with different requirements. Before briefly explaining the areas tackled, it is important to mention the existing building in the plot, specifically the Gardenia building and its Japanese garden, which should be conserved and be well connected to the new proposed buildings and areas. The first challenge regards the renovation of one of the existing buildings in the plot that we called Building A. This building was built in 2012 as an office building for university staff. It is a 3-story building, still used as an office building. It is a curved building facing to the interior of the plot with almost 100 meters of facade. You can see the importance of the views of the building to the indoor court. It is intended to be transformed in new function into residential building to host visiting researchers, lecturers and professors. The suggested function include dormitory for researchers, temporary accommodation, permanent residential functions, cafeterias and possible mix of commercial use on the ground floor, organized in an entirely reshaped interior. The second challenge regards the construction of new
Nei, jeg
building
regner med at du hadde gått
that
til
we named
fondtrekket på
Building B.
på Ryen.
The existing 2 L-shaped commercial retail buildings will be demolished. The location of the new Building B is well defined in the plan, considering the location of surrounding buildings existing or under construction. Teams are free to play with the orientation of the buildings, considering its accessibility from the nearby streets, the Gardenia, and other nearby buildings. The contest should propose a high-rise residential building between 5 to 6 stories high, with parking limits set to 1 car per 140 to 200 square meters. Ground floor is dedicated to general services and could be combined with small commercial activities, such like galleries, bakeries, or services related to pets like today. The ground floor might include semi-private hall to connect the exterior to the internal part facing the Gardenia. 80% of floor's area should be dedicated to private residential apartments, 30% 3-bedroom, 50% 2 bedrooms, and the remaining 20% studio. The apartments will target young professionals and young families. Living units should include living area, sleeping area, kitchenette, bathroom, and storage. Common areas should include laundry, bike room, chilling and enjoyment area, common sauna or spa areas, and eventually other common use services. Eventually, the whole area of Building A and Building B can be studied with focus on both short-term and long-term residential functions. The third challenge is to design to ground exterior space inside the plot and the area where the old agricultural museum is located. The museum cannot be used as museum or any other purpose either, but it is a heavy stone building, and the city hopes that the stone part of the building could be saved and used as a ruin garden or place for some outside activities, like a tennis court without roof, for example. The external space should allow for the interconnection between the buildings and the surrounding streets. It will include public green spaces to be used as enjoyment spaces. Projects should propose and adapt the access to these spaces. Specifically, the pedestrian connection between the garden and the rest of the buildings and spaces in the project should be assured. This path is critical to ensure the access for inhabitants and visitors. This was a brief description of the Helsinki city and Helsinki University, the plot area, and the task to be developed. Thank you for your attention. Please remember, this is a design idea competition, so feel free to explore and provide new ideas while addressing the main requirements of the task.
So this was the first video, which gives an in-depth presentation of the contest task in Wiki. Of course, we will send you the link to this video after this first day of the Teacher's Day. It's not a public video yet, so you need the link to access it, but we will make sure to send it to you. And with this video, we have also a 360 degrees immersive view of the contest task. So I will show you very quickly. I'm not going to go over the whole video, but it's a very great tool for you and for your students as well, because it gives you the opportunity to really look at each part of the plot on every angle. So I'll show you how it looks and what you can do with this sort of video.
So in the 360 video, you will see the plan with different views that you can then move around with your mouse to see the different structures that are within them, and also what's nearby. And then once you go log in, you can scroll around the screen to see what's around. I have more details of existing buildings that we talked about before, the Gardenia, which is a building to keep. And then the other buildings that will be demolished in other areas of the building. So as you go along through the video, you will be able to see the videos and move around the site to get more insights into what's in the surrounding. Again, as you start to analyze the documentation that we're going to be sending, not only these two videos, but the previous presentations, the idea is for you to write all the questions you might have on the SparkUp tool, so we can go over them tomorrow to clarify if there are any questions related to anything that is technical, to the site, or limitations that we might have to clarify.
So it was just to give you an overview on how to use this 360 video. And as Timo was saying, it really gives you a complete view of the contest task. So you just, click on the video and drag it around to be able to have a look at all the buildings and all the parts of the contest task. So of course, we will send you the link to this video as well after this first day of Teacher's Day. So you have the presentation video, the first video, and this 360 immersive video as well. Do you have any questions so far? I had a look on the SparkUp as well. So if you want to add your question on SparkUp, you can. If you have any question that you want to ask now as well. Do we have any questions? No. No. Okay, so if everything is clear, then we go on to a more detailed presentation of the contest task, and Timo, I give you the floor.
Yes. So as before going into this part, just to reinforce what Anne mentioned at the beginning, and also reinforced by Antti and Henrik. Obviously, you can observe that Helsinki has strong ambitions when we talk about sustainability, being carbon neutral by 2030. So that means, buildings have an important role in terms of what should be projected. Circularity is also important in the new regulations that are going to be coming up related to material assessment via LCA. And at the beginning, understanding a little bit of the demographics of Helsinki, quite a young city. Those also the need for residential apartments like what we're going to be doing in this project. So let me just take control of the presentation to move the slides. Okay. I think it should work now. Yes. So you can see, as we saw from the video, the first.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to share on your side, or do you want me to? Maybe it's easier so you can move on your own.
Share it here. Give me 1 second.
I see a question. Any site plans available now? Yes, I do believe we have plans of the sites, right?
Yes, we will be sharing. Let me just share my screen for multitask at the same time. So we will be sharing this information. We will also be including documentation. We sent a PDF files of the site that includes information on the site itself, but also the buildings, along with a AutoCAD, DWG AutoCAD files for you to analyze. In any case, if there's other information that you might need, don't hesitate again to request that to see how we can make them available. And then, as we were looking at in the video, there are 4 main areas that need to be considered in the project. Not all of them are going to be necessarily impacted, but they have to be considered. Understanding that we have towards the south the Wiki facility teaching and teaching research facilities towards the south, and also towards the east. And then towards the west, we have that ecosystem for birds and preservation. And towards the north, more student housings, and also the rest of the campus site. So we had some interesting input to put context into what type of persons might be living there, either are working in the zone or studying in the area. But in terms of a project, we have first building A, which, as the video mentioned, is an existing building today used as office. The idea is to change its use to short or long-term residential. So that's something that proposals could be made in terms of a renovation, potential expansions to the buildings. Also take into account building B, which are the 2 buildings in a L-shaped that you see towards the north. These buildings are to be demolished or disassembled. So in terms of circularity, there could be proposals you can make in terms of how to potentially reuse, give a second life to the materials of the building. But that's where the students will propose a new high-rise building between 5 or 6 stories for residential use. Then we have the zone C that you see there that would be quite large, where you have not only the connectivity, that green space in the middle, connectivity between all the different areas that we're talking about, but also the old museum, which is also to be demolished. It cannot be reused as another structure. But again, the thinking of what could be done with the stone structures that come from the building in terms of landscaping or other things like that are things that could be proposed in the in the student proposal. Things to take into account in this overall project is the connectivity among the different spaces. Also, not only among internally with the gardenia, which is going to keep the main function with the Japanese garden, but also its connectivity with the nearby buildings. So it's not only a project on a renovation of building A and the new construction of building B, but also the synergies within the open spaces that are within the lot, the existing building and the surrounding. Understanding that there will be a new tram line connecting this area. So it's going to bring a lot of movement into the site. One topic that I want to mention before moving on and talking about the specific requirements for the project is that both zones A or B, a building A or B, as they're going to be mainly focused on the residential area, should be taken into account probably as a together, as a whole. So it would be interesting what students can propose in terms of the renovation building A and the new proposal for building B. So we're looking for ideas on that sense. When we talk about specific requirements, for building A, the one that is being renovated, the idea is to provide some architectural proposal at a draft level on what our students can, the new uses that the students are going to be providing in terms of a short-term or long-term residential use. Also include some plans, whether they're floor plans, elevations, specific sections that show how the proposals for renovation are being done in terms of glazing or extension or insulation or other type of things that could better visualize the new type of function within the existing building. And then any other solutions that might be interesting to respond to the technical aspect of the project. Again, I want to highlight the importance of the carbon neutrality for 2030. That means that buildings that should be building today should have the lowest energy consumption possible, so more tending to a passive design type of building, and also thinking about the renewable energy that would be needed for either electrical or other type of heating or cooling. For building B, which would be the new construction, what would be required is in terms of plans, elevation sections, cross sections of the building, specific details that show how the students have addressed topics like, reducing thermal bridges, what proposals are being made in terms of roof, external walls, partitions, windows, and other intermediary spaces, and how do they address internal topics like thermal comfort, acoustic comfort, and the respective reduce protection potential problems related to air tightness and motion. Also, what will be required also for the new building would be a life cycle assessment of at a building level. So similar to last year, we will be counting on the partnership with One Click LCA, where students can use that software to do this type of analysis. And then in terms of requirements for the external spaces, again, what things are going to be proposed for external spaces at the moment is quite a open space that is open for interpretation in terms of what activities they could provide, whether there are recreational areas like tennis courts, other type of outdoor sports, not forgetting the connection with other buildings. So a proposal in dark terms is welcome. And then obviously a visualization that helps to understand the proposal in terms of the connectivity, how the space is distributed, and then the connectivity to the different external areas, building campuses, etc., is something that will be required. All of this information will be included in the contest task in terms of the documentation that will be required for the idea competition. In terms of the framework, and just to help students give more input in terms of their storytelling and coherence in terms of how they portray sustainable buildings. This is a framework that we use within Saint-Gobain to define what we mean by a sustainable building, which is broken down in activities, issues that are better for the planet and better for the people. Better for the planet, you see we have a couple of criteria related to energy and carbon and circularity, and to better for the people, everything related to health, not only on the job site of the worker, but also the user. And then what you see as drivers are drivers that the students can use to help them leverage and better identify specific criteria of what they are addressing within their proposal. So obviously, when we look at energy and carbon, you have, for example, how they address and possibly impact energy efficiency within the site, potential use of renewable energy, lowering the embodied carbon emissions of the building via the software we're talking about. In terms of circularity, what are they proposing in terms of reducing the use of non-renewable resources, and probably they could integrate other topics within their proposal in terms of how water is being used as a resource, the potential life time of the projects and different materials, recommendations in terms of construction and demolition is something that they could also address. Without forgetting the better for the people side in terms of how the project will positively impact the different type of comforts that the users might have in terms of thermal, acoustic, daylighting, and also indoor air quality. Going more into detail in terms of the specification, and again, all of these are going to be included in the contest task. And one more time, if you have any questions on any of these indicators or parameters we're expecting, don't say to put them on the Spark Up to answer them and give clarity for everybody to answer the test. So here are some of the key parameters that we're proposing for students to include when they're doing their analysis of materials and systems in terms of different U values for different parts of the facade, whether roof, walls, or floors, or windows. Also, as we are talking about projects with a low energy demand, going for passive house type of objectives, and the calculations that are going to be required for specifically for the new construction in terms of energy demand to show how low they have been able to address it using all the passive design, but also materials they have recommended, and also the life cycle assessment to be done. Similarly for resource and circularity, design not only for longevity, but also flexibility, understanding that the project in the long future could change again use. So to take that into account, how to be more efficient with resources, understanding that we have a couple of structures in the site that will be demolished. So out of that, what would be reuse and for what purpose? And other recommendations are actions they can include related to circularity and recycling. When we talk about aspects in terms of better for the people, how to optimize as much as possible natural lighting. So the idea is for them to carry out data autonomy evaluation where they can reach 60% for a threshold of 300 lux and to maintain a window to floor ratio of 180. Sorry, in terms of acoustic, here you see a table of indicators that are mandatory related to the Finnish standards, but also some recommendations. So students can propose materials that aim to achieve these objectives to take into account the acoustic comfort, not only internally within the apartment, but also within the exterior and the specific areas of the building. Coming towards the end, not to forget indoor air quality in terms of the materials that they could propose. Also take into account ventilation, it's going to be a natural ventilation, a mechanical ventilation, what type of cross airflow they could be proposing. So for them to take this into account in a way that we can reduce CO2 concentrations within the apartments. And lastly, thermal comfort. And as Anne was mentioning at the beginning, in the past couple of years already, the temperature of the mean temperature of Helsinki has increased 2%. With climate change, that might continue in the next couple of years. So take into account thermal comfort not only for the winter time, but for the summertime. Understanding the climate conditions of Helsinki. And just to remind you, and then we can also share more information about Helsinki weather. You can see here some of the mean temperatures throughout the year. So obviously quite cold in the winter, with temperatures ranging below, way below the 0 degrees. Towards the summer, where, as Anna was mentioning at the beginning, the temperatures could be reach as high as in the 30 degrees. So it's important to take these things into account when talking about the properties of the envelope in terms of insulating better the inside, but also keeping the comfort of users. Some things for students to take into account within their design. And finally, the judging criteria for the projects will be similar to the one that was on for Lisbon. So 50% of the criteria of how the project are going to be judged is going to be on the architectural aspect in terms of the design and innovation, which is something the University of Helsinki and the city of Helsinki are looking for them to get ideas on the potential development of this site in the next couple of years, but also what is being proposed in terms of layout and functionality related to the nearby buildings. And then the rest of the criteria are going to be divided 20% on the technical criteria on how students have used the different type of materials and the criteria of how we define sustainability better for the people, better for the planet within their projects, how they have integrated all these concepts within their projects. Another 20% on construction details in terms of the quality of the proposal they are providing. They were talking about, specific sections of areas, how they have addressed acoustic and thermal bridges, air tightness issues, and moisture management, how they have addressed this more technical aspect. And the last 10% is how they have correctly used and mentioned Saint-Gobain products within their proposals. There you have a large range of alternatives to use, from glazing insulation to other type of solutions we have within our portfolio of products. And with that, I think it will be quite clear right now for you to go into the documentation, analyze what's possible, how that fits to what you want your students to propose. The presentations from Anne, Antti, and Henrik were quite interesting to give context to the site. And then the two videos that we're going to be sharing give more information on the operational aspect of what's being required. And then I hope that this last portion that will be included in the contest task will give more clarity in terms of what is required from the university, from the city for this student contest. So again, the invitation is to share your questions via SparkUp or to the chat. So then in the session of tomorrow, and Gabriel's going to continue on that, we can address them as quickly as possible.
Yes, exactly. So I saw some question on the SparkUp. As Timo was mentioning, we will answer them tomorrow and go through everything that you have asked then in our second session. The SparkUp is going to remain open until tomorrow 10 a.m. French time. So you have all the evening or day or afternoon, depending on where you are, to look at the material that we're going to send you. So as Timo was saying, we are going to send you a recap email with the links to the 2 videos that we saw, the presentation one and the 360 immersive video where you can click and drag on the screen. We will send you the contest task document as well that really is a complete, comprehensive description of the contest task. We'll send you this presentation and the presentation made by Anne, Antje, and Henrik as well for context. And tomorrow, so we will go through the questions that you have put in the Spark app and answer them on our second day of Teachers' Day for the Architecture Student Contest 2024, which is going to be at 2 p.m. French time, just like today. So I think maybe I saw some question on the chat. Let me see while you were talking, Timo, about plans. Okay, any site plans available? And would you please provide us with need information and drawings plans? So I think you answered this when you were talking. We were talking about DWG plans.
Yes, we're providing some AutoCAD drawings, so you can open them and check them out to see if they address and answer your questions. We'll also be sharing some PDF files for the different specific buildings in terms of sections and their locations, so you have more information on that. Obviously, those PDF files, in terms of the language, they're written in Finnish, but you will see in terms of the diagrams, some of the information you might need. And then if there's anything else that you think it's relevant for you to better understand, that's not hesitate to write them as a question to see how we can integrate them in the future.
Cesar, I see that you ask if you can have this presentation. Yes, we will send it to you in the recap email after this meeting. This presentation will be included as well. And I have a question from Fabian. When talking about stories for the new building, is it referred to floors above ground level? I believe so.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And as we mentioned, you can keep asking your question on the Spark Up. The Spark Up is still open. We will compile all of your questions to make sure to be able to answer them tomorrow. And I have one question. Is the LCA tool going to be one-click planetary?
I mean, it's one-click LCA. I don't know if we have a version called planetary, but it's one-click LCA. The same software that has been used for the student contest 2023 in Lisbon. And in case we want to be sharing the links of which software we're going to be using, but it's one-click LCA.
Okay, I don't see any other question, but no worries. As we were saying, you have access to the Spark app. In the recap email that we're going to send you with this presentation and all the presentation that we showed you, we will also put back the little tutorial on how to access Spark Up, so you can have the link, the codes, and the QR code and everything. And Auntie just. There are so many one-click LCA tool version. It will be good to know which of them will be used for the contest.
Yes, we will share the specific tool that's going to be used.
Yes, we'll share them with you. And also I see that Antje put in the chat a City of Helsinki's 3D mesh model link. So you can also have access to this. Thank you, Antje. Do you have any other question that you want to ask now? We still have 10 minutes before the official end time of the first day of the Teachers' Day. And otherwise, you can have the whole evening and tomorrow until 10 a.m. French time to put your question. Yes, we have a few questions. Do we know the use of the adjacent site? Is the site to the west going to stay an empty site?
To the west, that's the conservatory space for the ecosystem, for the birds. You can see that on the map. That the part on the right, when we're looking at the image, is preserved.
Okay. And still, Louis, if possible, to get local LCA contacts to get local language training. One-click LCA contacts to get local language trainings.
That I don't have the answer to that.
We don't have the answer now, but we will look into it. Louis, we're writing down your questions so that we can answer you as soon as possible and have a look on our site. Someone someone is well versed. So someone answered that the tool provider has tutorial videos in several languages. We'll still have a look on our site, but apparently you already have tutorial videos available in several languages. Good. Okay. Do you still have any additional questions, or do you maybe need to go over through the whole materials that we shared with you before having new questions?
I think once we send the information, we'll have the next couple of hours ahead to share any questions or doubts you might have.
We'll have any question.
Will energy and heat consumption calculator software be provided or recommended? As we did last year, we can have a couple of software that will be recommended. What I know today from our side is throughout the year, in the next couple of months, we're going to be also providing a SketchUp plugin that includes Saint-Gobain materials that students can use. So if at the university you have you use SketchUp as a tool, and you know that SketchUp has a energy calculation with a plugin, you can integrate Saint-Gobain materials. But we can recommend some other software for the energy and heat consumption calculation.
So someone is asking, will all needed documentation will be officially published? So what we're going to do, we're going to send you all the documentation today before after this meeting. So you have this presentation, the presentation that Anne, Auntie, and Henrik shared. We'll also have the contest task document, which goes over all the contest tasks, the video. So you really have everything in the package and all additional material that will be needed to better understand the contest task and the contest site. We're all going to send it to you tonight. Tomorrow we answer your question, and a week after tomorrow we will compile all of your feedback, but I'll explain in more details tomorrow. We'll compile all of your feedbacks, all of the answers to the question you might have asked, to make a sort of recommendation book, which is a tool from one teacher to another to even better understand the contest task. So we'll make all of this available. We will make all those documentation available to the Saint-Gobain local representative as well. So your local contact will have access to all this material. If you don't have it, or if you can't find the email with everything that we sent, they will have access to it as well. So no worries. And it will be officially published on the architecture student website after the Architecture Student Contest 2023, which is at the end of June. So beginning of July, everything should be on the website. Is an email needed? Yes, Charbel, if you can put your email, but once we close this Teams meeting, we should be able, to export all of the people who were attending the Teams meeting. So we should have your email, but if you're not sure, you can send it to us as well. And more importantly, will the schedules and setups for energy consumption be provided, or would the team set them as the best see fit?
I'll have to look into that one to see what we have done historical for the competitions in terms of, whether we provide a template of schedules to use. But then again, it's a residential building. Probably also left to the students to see, but I will look into that to give an answer tomorrow.
I see your email. Thank you. Okay, I see. So if you're afraid that your email might not be registered, we are going to send this material to your local Saint-Gobain leader anyway. So, but if you want, you can also put your email back in the chat just to make sure that we have everybody's email. But otherwise, your local Saint-Gobain leader will have all the materials. And we will see you all tomorrow, same time, 2 p.m. French time. We'll send you the recap email with the access to the Spark Up so you can ask further questions. And thank you so much again for your time today. We hope it made you really excited to discover more about Helsinki. And we hope to see you tomorrow.
Thank you, everybody, for your participation. Don't forget to send us your questions. See you tomorrow.
Gracias. Adios.
Guys, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.